But yeah, so one thing I wanted to touch on today, because I think a couple people are curious about, oh yeah, we're recording, by the way, is storage and how to securely keep your Bitcoin in a good space. Because obviously I've got my Bitcoin on my wallet that I use here to pay for a smoothie, but I don't want to walk around with more than I would be comfortable with in my wallet as well. So that's where, when it comes to Bitcoin, I'm pretty up to speed with the best practices there. One easy button is a electronic storage method, like a ledger, which is basically just a jump drive that you can upload and download on. I actually got one for Christmas, but I haven't messed around with it yet because I want to turn it into a project and come up with like an unboxing process and maybe a story of how to and what to do with it. But I also have never gotten one because I never felt like I needed it, because I just printed out a piece of paper that had a Bitcoin address and the private key that allows you to move Bitcoin from that address. And so that's what I refer to as a paper wallet. I've got an article on my website that talks about how to create a paper wallet. It's the poor man's long-term storage. And I just create like a PDF backup of that, so that way I have an electronic copy as well as a paper copy that I can then fund that Bitcoin address, go put that into a safety deposit box, and along with the jump drive, either at the same location, or if you really want to get crazy, put it somewhere else, like the Winklevoss twins. I think they have backup redundancy copies in like 7 different banks across the country. Of course, none of that is insured or anything, so if the bank burns down, so does your Bitcoin. Same reason why there's a law and a rule why you can't put cash into a safety deposit box, because it's not insured. But that's what I've been doing for many years. A long time ago, I put a bunch of, because I wanted to get it out of my house. I didn't want it on my phone. I didn't want people to be able to show up at my house. Just like I don't want to keep, more than 5 or 10 grand in a vault in my basement either, because I don't want someone come knocking looking for it. So that's what I've always used for long-term Bitcoin storage, because most people tend to store their Bitcoin on an exchange. Because let's face it, most people just sign up for Coinbase, link up their bank account, and buy some Bitcoin and let it sit there. Most people aren't spending Bitcoin, so most people are just letting it sit there. And that's okay up to a certain point, because it's not like having a bank account. When you log into your account on your PNC or your key bank, all you're doing is just viewing numbers on their server. When it's Bitcoin, it's similar, but at the same time, if you withdraw Bitcoin, that's just like withdrawing cash from the bank. So you have the same power sitting at your computer at home. So that's why you don't really want to have too much on an exchange either. There are some additional protections they can provide, such as whitelisting an address, meaning before you withdraw, you can say, hey, don't give me my Bitcoin unless I give you an address and tell you it's good for 48 or hours or 7 days. Like, don't let me withdraw until it's an approved address that I say it's okay. That can give you a little bit of protection that if someone came along, it's called the wrench attack, the $5 wrench attack. I've got a little card game called Bitopoly at home that has all these types of terms in there as well. That's been fun playing with it. So those are kind of the two things there. So when it comes to making a paper wallet for like Ethereum or Helium, another currency I've been messing around with, I don't necessarily know how to do that, because some websites have just made it easy to go on and print off something there. In theory, if you know how to access the code of the underlying wallets and create that, you could print it out yourself. I've never bothered to go down that path because I'm 99% Bitcoin. That's where I've worried about. But I have had the thoughts of, like for Helium, to the extent that I can't figure out how to put it onto a ledger or something, and I want to own more than 5 or 10 grand worth of that currency, you could always make another account and then like write down the password and put that in a secure location to where you can't even log into your own account until you go to the bank and get that information. That would be one way to get it out of your house. A lot of people aren't as worried about getting stuff out of their house as I am, but I'm obviously very public about my crypto thing, so I felt like I needed to have those answers. So at the end of the day, most people, I just tell them, hey, once they're reaching 5,000-ish of Bitcoin, go ahead and get yourself a paper wallet, or you can buy the easy button of a ledger, which I don't know how to do yet, but I'm sure plenty of people know how to, and those are easy ways to securely store your wallets and your crypto in other areas. And so this is where it gets a little interesting, because a lot of us are like, oh yeah, let's get Bitcoin, let's fight the banks. And then we start realizing, oh wait, so now I have to be my own bank. I need to store all of this myself. That, with great power comes great responsibility. So it'll be interesting to see when PNC comes to us and says, oh, we've got your crypto vault option, and how much consumers are like, oh, thank you, take my crypto off my hands and store it securely for me. How much will they charge for those services?
What the fees are going to be.
Yeah, will they turn it into the same business model as what the current US dollar is, where they just lend it out and make their money that way? It'll be interesting to see. But I think crypto definitely highlights and makes things a lot more transparent, which is why that will certainly evolve things over the course of time. So, I don't know, does anyone else have any questions about crypto storage? Does that kind of give you...
So are you pretty SOL if somebody gets a hold of that stuff? There's no committee, there's no kind of tracing. If they have your login, you're done, that's it, it's theirs kind of thing? Or
right, when we're talking about that paper wallet?
Right, I mean, what are the ramifications? Do you have a 5-step plan if, let's just say, someone somehow got a hold of 25%, you're just kind of,
Nope, that's gone. So once you have your paper wallet, if you load that Bitcoin address and it has the private key that it's allowed to send it, if someone compromises that, that's why I even put it in an envelope and I say open this in a secure location away from cameras, because in theory, you could just program one of these to scan QR codes and scrape all that stuff. If someone moves it from that address to another address, there's no international bank of Bitcoin. It's just as though you had taken that pile of cash and moved it to another place. You have your same normal ways of getting it back. You go to the FBI, you say, hey, I got stolen from. You go to the police, you take them to court if you know who it is. But if they get that, there is no recompense. And so that's where some people look at that, and once I really get them down that far down the rabbit hole, some people are scared and they're like, whoa, this seems pretty crazy. So that's if you want to go your own self-storage option, which is why a lot of people are like, I'll just let Coinbase take care of it for me. And as long as there's no way to access those funds, or there's a way to delay that withdrawal, if you put up those guardrails, then you're probably in a safe bet as well. But will Coinbase start charging for that someday? Maybe, maybe not. I think right now they're actually operating on a fractional reserve, so they're happy to take all of your money and just say, oh yeah, we'll hold on to 20% of it and send the 80% somewhere else, just like a bank does, and make their money that way. So yeah, so that's where it is, and so some people like that personal responsibility and ability. There's plenty of people who buy gold bars and silver bars and put those in their vaults in their house, and they're like, I prefer that. So that's where some people are perfectly fine. I don't even need your safety deposit idea, Monty. I'm just gonna put it in my safe next to my gun safe. And all right, that works too. So some people I've talked to who are very happy to be like, oh yeah, let's get it off this exchange and put it there, because that's where in Coinbase we trust. We've been blessed with Coinbase, a US-based exchange that has not admitted to being hacked over the last 5 or 10 years.